We welcome you to West Epping Bowling Club for the staging of the very first Australian Junior Singles Championship. The contestants in this final, you'll be seeing Grant Hopwood from Victoria, 16 years of age, against, from New South Wales, Cameron Curtis, 17 years of age.
Cameron Curtis from Brunswick Heads in New South Wales is 17 years old. Amongst his credits, he's won his Club Open singles in 1985 at the age of 15. Grant Hopwood, 16 from Windsor in Victoria, is less experienced than his opponent, though his form in the qualifiers for this final shows he has the skill and will be a staunch adversary for Curtis.
Well, there we see the Cross of St George amongst other flags flying here above the complex at the West Epping Bowling Club, with pretty well a capacity crowd of over 2,500 people about to witness this Junior Championship of Australia between Cameron Curtis of New South Wales and Grant Hopwood from Victoria. The marker for this match is Paul Harper, a young interstate player from the Western Suburbs Leagues Club here in Sydney. The start of the first end and the first away is young Grant Hopwood from Victoria. In fact, he plays for the Melbourne club, just 16 years old. And as you see, dressed in blue, and on his discs, or on his bowls, a blue disc for identification purposes, whereas his opponent, the taller of the two men, Cameron Curtis, who plays for the Mullumbimby club in the northern part of New South Wales, and he wearing yellow and yellow discs on his bowls. Their target, 21 shots.
If experience counts for anything in this match, or is to count for anything in this match, Cedric, Cameron Curtis must have an advantage in that he's been playing for 4 years, where Grant Hopwood has been playing for merely 18 months. I had the opportunity to have a roll-up with these young fellows yesterday, and I wouldn't mind having them in my pennant side.
This is a fairly short jack, this first one that's been rolled by Grant Hopwood. Something in the region of about 24, 25 metres. And all the bowls so far have finished a metre behind the jack, but this is a better correction from Grant Hopwood. Just about half a metre through, maybe less. And let's see with this third bowl from Curtis if he can adjust. Indeed he has. And made contact with his opponent's bowl, and now he lies the shot.
Showing very little sign of nerves, both of these young fellows, and in front of, as you've said, 2,500 people, Cedric. That speaks volumes for their chances of making it in senior ranks in a few short years. In fact, the good news for the juniors is that this fellow, Cameron Curtis, it's his last year of eligibility in junior ranks, but of course I suppose that's bad news for the seniors too.
Well, he's already won his club singles against seniors up at Mullumbimby, and with bowls like that you can understand it. He's drawn the shot with his last bowl, so he's off the mark on his way towards getting 21. One end played, Curtis 1, Hopwood 0. So, the second end. And one of the most difficult things to do, Jeff, I think you'll agree, is to go from a drive down to a draw shot. But that is a pretty good answer to that. He's only less than a metre away.
Bearing in mind, Cedric, that this is almost a full-length end, and we've seen a number of the Jack High champions struggle on these long ends to get bowls closer than a metre. This young fellow's powers of correction, I was able to witness it firsthand yesterday, and I'll be amazed if he doesn't improve a metre on his first bowl. Amazement written all over my face. He's left it a little shorter than his first. We'll put that down to early end nerves.
There's a correction from Grant Hopwood. He's laying the shot now.
How far short was my last ball, please?
Curtis asking how far he's short with his last ball.
4 feet, Cameron. 4 feet.
Well then, let's see if he corrects that. Just over a metre short.
In fact, I was just wondering then whether Cameron Curtis would know what 4 feet was. We've been metric for some time. Yes, he does know what 4 feet is.
Yes, the bowling fraternity, Jeff, still speaks in the imperial measurement language. Whereas, as you say, the Australians have developed for some time now. Some 15 years, is it, since it came about? Or more than that, nearly 20. It's over that time.
I still don't think we'll ever quite become accustomed to a shot being called a metre on shot, where the yard on shot is understood by bowlers worldwide.
Well, he's left that short, but nevertheless he has the advantage. And the last opportunity now for Grant Hopwood to try and save the situation.
I think he's left it short too. He's not happy with it, and that's why.
So Curtis doubling his score, now goes to 2, and Grant Hopwood yes to open his account. Certainly a big lad for only 17 years old, near 12 at Mullumbimby High.
Yes, he could just as easily fit into the front row of a rugby league side as on the mat of a bowling rink.
And Grant Hopwood, well, he's in year 11 at Prahran Secondary College. He electing to come on the backhand to the target and succeeded well. Good bowl. Vast crowd looking on as Curtis hands down his second delivery. Needs to take about 2 metres of running off his first bowl, and does it successfully. Very successfully to get the shot. Little correction needed here from Hopwood. His first one was very, very good indeed, but just glances past
How far's my bowl up the jack?
opponent's bowl. How far short, he's asked the marker.
They learn fast, don't they? We see the champs like Ian Shoeback painting a mental picture of the head by asking the marker the distances between jack and bowl. And these kids have, of course, modelled themselves on their respective heroes, hoping one day to beat them, I suppose. With bowls like that, why not?
Brilliant.
one thing in our favour, I guess, Cedric. By the time these fellas really reach their top, we'll be in wheelchairs.
Yes, we'll be looking on at them and praising them because they've certainly started this game at a young age. And remembering the great David Bryant has always said that bowls is a young man's game that old people care to play. So this is the last bowl now from Grant Hopwood, lying the shot, hoping to open his account on the completion of this end.
Just the one.
But he has one shot to Hopwood on this third end, but he trails his opponent by one, Curtis on two.
Many singles players consider that being able to roll the jack is like having a bonus bowl because it enables you to gauge the distance with what momentum the jack has left the hand. If you can duplicate that with your bowl, then you should be pretty right for distance. And a case in point. Beautiful bowl from Hopwood. We should never tire of saying, Cedric, in these singles matches how important that first bowl is. And both of these boys have achieved what they set out to do, and that is get their first bowl close. Not only gives you the opportunity to dictate the terms of the end, but it also means that it's going to be difficult for the opponent to score more than one shot.
And your opponent can't get too far away from you, can he, Jeff, if you only let him get one at a time?
Exactly.
Good positional bowl there from Curtis. Makes contact with the jack next time. He can trail it to that back bowl that he's just delivered.
I think the experience of Cameron Curtis showing already in this match. No advantage in having short bowls. He gives himself the opportunity to score despite the fact that he is one down on the head. He's got a back bowl and it gives him the opportunity to use controlled weight and reverse that decision.
With that last bowl from Grant Hopwood, he too has put one just behind, so that was a good positional bowl from him. Now then, this is the third bowl from Curtis. At the moment he's one down. Is he holding up? He's done it. Well bowled. I guess he would come surely on the forehand to this, since the shot bowl is just behind the jack and there's a rest for him.
Certainly a forehand shot, Cedric. And he doesn't need a lot of weight.
Certainly not.
Mine looks pretty good. It's very good. 2 shots.
So the pressure back on Cameron Curtis now. His last bowl. 2 down.
Just overweight.
Yes, and he's still 2 down at the completion of the fourth end. Agreed, 2 shots to the blue. So Victoria now leads New South Wales by 3 shots to 2.
Grant Hopwood, if he did have any pre-match nerves, looks as though they've disappeared, but this might them to return. What a great reply from Cameron Curtis. Maturity beyond their years being displayed by these two youngsters. Now needs maybe 30 centimetres. Doesn't quite have that. But opening bowls that any Jack High champion would be proud of from these guys with between them 5.5 years of bowling experience.
About 20 inches.
And even though they are youngsters, they're bowling with man-sized bowls. Cameron Curtis bowling the size 4 heavyweight, and Grant Hopwood a size 5 standard weight bowl. Coming down with his third bowl, just shaving off his own and passing the target.
A little unlucky actually, Cedric. Played the shot with good weight, unfortunate enough just to catch the edge of his bowl. Firm contact with his own bowl would have given him shot. This is champagne stuff. He's shaping up to drive. Let's see what sort of a drive Grant Hopwood has. Well, a lucky result perhaps. He was wide of the target but succeeded in pushing one of his own bowls onto one of the counters.
Well, he's got about half a metre to draw another shot. That's the distance that Hopwood's nearest bowl is from the jack. But he hasn't got the weight. No, he's fallen short by just over a metre, but nevertheless, he's got a single and levels the scores after 5 ends, 3 apiece.
Both bowlers had problems with the gusty winds in the 6th end. But it was Hopwood who broke the deadlock, taking shot with his first bowl and went to a lead of 4-3.
But a very good reply here.
Hopwood's lead was short-lived. In the 7th, it was all Curtis.
It's a third for the man from Mullumbimby. It is 3 shots. Cameron
Taking 3 shots, doubling his score and regaining the lead, 6-4. End number 8 saw conditions turn ominous, but there was no doubt as to the quality of the bowls. Hopwood outdrawing the favourite from New South Wales and again threatening the lead. In the 9th end, Curtis trailed the jack and conceded 2 bowls to Hopwood. The Victorian took the lead 7 bowls to 6.
So the start of end number 10. With Victoria leading New South Wales by the single shot, 7-6. Oh, brilliant stuff there. And the reply from Curtis. Anything you can do, I can do better. Good try. I was thinking, Jeff, Australian bowls augurs well for the future, and we've got youngsters like this coming along.
It certainly does, Cedric. As one of the national selectors recently appointed by the Australian Bowls Council, undoubtedly the names of Hopwood and Curtis in a very short space of years will be in front of the Australian selectors. He told me just the other day that his father, in fact, was skipping a rink in the under-45s, so it's a very young bowling family, the Curtis family.
Well, we give full marks to their tutors, both at Mullumbimby and at Melbourne, to produce and coach youngsters like this for us to witness and be proud of. These two young boys are future Australian stars. Look at that, another wonderful bowl. And rightful applause from this crowd of over 2,500. So then, the last bowl from Cameron Curtis.
And it's going to be a weighted shot. It's only controlled weight. He has receivers less than a metre behind that head. He needs it to pull. Failed to do so. And I think you'll find that's 3 shots to Grant Hopwood. Confirmed 10-6. Hopwood's favour. Backhand, Hopwood need to put pressure on Curtis, but failing with that one. The following breeze pushing it through by 2 metres or so. Well, if Cameron Curtis is feeling any pressure, this could be a sign of it. Like that well short, 2 metres short. Hopwood wasting no time. Recognises that he needs more grass and less weight. And how's this for a correction? That is absolutely magnificent bowling. Forced a change of hand from Cameron Curtis. The shot bowl being in front of Jack. This is his best opportunity to recapture the shot. But again, he's short. It's a dangerous situation. 2 short bowls with your first 2 is never a good sign in a singles match. Hoping to ram home the advantage now. Another counter would be very handy. Just wrecked on that short bowl. Had good weight to add another counter. Most important bowl on this end for Cameron Curtis. He must at least reach that shot bowl. Oh, that's not bad. What can you say? Been playing for 4 years and capable of that sort of pressure bowl. Hopwood really has little opportunity to do anything but try and just flat draw this shot. He's applied a little too much weight, and that will go right through to the ditch. A lot of room for Curtis to add another counter. A change of hand to contend with as well, coming down on the backhand. And maybe 35-40 centimetres to score another. Doesn't want to spring that jack. He's done it. He's given shot away. Desperately unlucky, but perhaps played it with too much weight. And a lucky break for the Victorian. Sneaking another shot away to 11-6 after 11 ends.
Well, this young lad was trailing by 4 shots to 6 after 7 ends, but in the next 4 he's picked up 2 singles, a 2 and a 3, a total of 7 shots to lead now by 11 shots to 6. The highest number of shots that Cameron Curtis has had scored against him in his matches in this junior Jack High competition.
Of course, from now on, Cedric, this tournament will be known as the National Junior Singles Championship, and for that purpose the Henselite Company has produced a very stylish perpetual trophy on which all the winners, no doubt, in this year and future years will be inscribed.
Now then, Curtis, his first bowl finished some 2 metres through, as did Hopwood's, and both of them are corrected. Curtis the better, finishing there Jack High. Hopwood coming down on his backhand. 2 or 3 chances here to draw the shot. Just goes past. A brave attempt. Just finishing behind the jack, so affords the opportunity for Curtis to come down on the forehand. And if he can rest up against that last bowl of Hopwood's, it would be a second shot. But failing to reach. Bowling into this headwind. Hopwood's last bowl. Trying once again either to draw up to the jack or trail it or push his opponent out. Does none of them and goes behind, allowing Curtis to have the advantage and trying to a bonus second shot.
So certainly Cameron Curtis can't give shot away on this end, Cedric.
Coming round. Yes, I'm sure. Indeed it is. So, after 4 ends, Curtis is now off again and has scored 2, but trails his opponent 8-11. Matt brought well up the green by Curtis, some 7 or 8 metres, and the jack nearly on the 2 metre mark from the front ditch. Curtis doing anything to try and put his opponent, young Grant Hopwood, off his length. So we'll see. Curtis found it with his first bowl, Jack High. How about Hopwood? A shade heavy, only centimetres from that ditch. So no correction needed as regards weight from Curtis, just the green. Well, that's good. It's 2 shots. Well, this young lad has got to take about 2 metres of running off. taken half a metre off, but as we see they're still about 1.5 metres through. This man lying 2 shots at the moment, and his third bowl coming down. The best of the lot now lies 3. Getting himself into a bit of trouble is young Grant Hopwood, unless he can take some weight off. Mustn't take too much.
He came off that delivery a little, and that's the logical result. He's taken too much weight off. It's a metre and a half short, and the signs are ominous for Hopwood. I'm sure Curtis will nail another counter in here, and what a good one it is.
Well, once before he was 4 down when he went to deliver his last bowl. He's in a similar position this time. He managed to save it last time by drawing the absolute. He's forced to change his hand with this bowl.
And that creates another problem for him, Cedric. He has to find a new length, a new line, and he's not done a bad job of that. Another great pressure bowl from Grant Hopwood gives him one more shot and a lead of 12 to 8.
This is a very short end, this one. The jack having been rolled by Grant Hopwood just over the minimum length. And he's certainly playing a rescue type of game. On 2 ends now, he's saved 4 shots. A total of 8. And when a person's only got to get 21, if Curtis had been able to hold on to those 8 shots, he'd be in a far more comfortable position than he is now, trailing by 4 shots to 12. But he's outdrawn Hopwood on this occasion with those first bowls. Number 1. I'm running out of superlatives, Jeff. Help me.
I'm most impressed with the qualities that these boys are showing. The largest crowd watching this match, or watching these boys, by about 2,500 people that they've ever had in their life. They're handling the pressure, the situation, the atmosphere, veterans. That'll make 2. If Cameron Curtis, with his added experience, went into this match as favourite, then I'm sure he's not terribly complacent now about being the pre-match favourite, because Grant Hopwood is turning on a very good exhibition of lawn bowls at its best. I doubt if that counts.
Well, he's definitely 2 down as Curtis delivers his final bowl.
And a gust of breeze. Now, what's that going to do to the bowl? It may have held it out momentarily, because it certainly didn't come back to the centre line, and I think you'll find it's 2, and it is. Quite a handy break now of 14 to 8 to Grant Hopwood. Grant Hopwood knows what it feels like to have to come from behind. In his opening round-robin match earlier this week, found himself down 20 to 15 and fought his way back to a courageous 21-20 win, which proved vital in the finish, because had he lost that opening match, he would very likely be not here this afternoon in the final. We'll see what fighting qualities Cameron Curtis has. If that's an indication, then we could have another spine-tingling finish. Equal to the pressure. Perfect weight from Hopwood and close to shot. It's a good guide for Cameron Curtis. He knows that if he beats that bowl, then he must have shot. He's coming round behind it, and if he falls, that's certainly shot, and it is. Perfect weight with his previous bowl. Left this one short. Not by much, but enough to leave him out of the count. That last ball forcing Cameron Curtis to change hands. Now onto the forehand, where any trail of the jack should be good for him. Again, the importance of good weight. Takes 2 shots for Cameron Curtis, and we haven't been asked whether that third one is yet in the count either. And we see Hopwood following Curtis down on the forehand. Change of hand means that he has to rethink everything, line and length. He's got some weight on this, found the gap, and through to the back. So Curtis is going to get at least some of that 6-shot deficit back on this end. We'll have to see how many when this bowl comes to rest. Well, we can safely say it's going to be 3. And it is. The match tightens up. Curtis trailing now by 3 shots, 11-14.
Three shots adrift from his opponent is Cameron Curtis as he delivers the first bowl on end 16, and that is pretty well a full-length jack and a very good start from the man from Mullumbimby. I think we ought to call him the Marvel from Mullumbimby, don't you, Jeff? Nevertheless, there's Marvel here from Melbourne as well. Young Grant Hopwood. Let's look at this one. Yes, he's got it. Oh, great bowling.
You wouldn't see much better bowls than that anywhere in the world, Cedric. And for it to be coming, for this exhibition to be coming from boys of 16 and 17 is amazing.
Look at that.
This. The superlatives have run out. We can only watch in wonder.
2 down, Grant.
Second bowl from Grant Hopwood. Great try, but I still think he's 2 down. Change of hand here, and as often happens, falling short. That is a long way short for Curtis, but nevertheless, he's still lying 2, his first 2 deliveries. So here comes the third bowl from Hopwood. 2 down.
He's close.
Still 2 down, but what a marvellous effort that was to try and disturb the head. Still has another bowl to come, but before he delivers it, of course, here's this Mullumbimby boy, young Cameron Curtis, with 2 shots in the locker, trying to make it 3, but this one too is falling short like this previous one. There it is. It's amazing.
Yes, out of character from what we've seen in this match to date.
So now then, can he be a little more fortunate with this bowl, young Grant Hopwood? It's 2 down.
Taking a little weight off this. Is he going to turn in time?
No, he just rubs the side of the bowl of Curtis, but it looks as though he's going to be 2 shots. We'll just wait for their decision, because they will remove 1.
Sure.
In fact, he's asking for a measure. I think this is the first measure we've seen in the game, Jeff.
Well, maybe with the young eyes of these boys, they're very good judges and don't have to resort to the measure as much as us senior players. I nearly said senior citizens.
Well, we've said it was 2 to the yellow, but we are right. 2 indeed it is. So Curtis is now catching up. He's now only 1 behind Hopwood, trailing 13-14.
I don't think I'd have lost as many singles matches as I have, Cedric, if I could deliver first bowls accurately as these 2 boys are doing.
No, I was just thinking I wouldn't like to play either of them.
I'd want to start.
How many out of 21? I think I'd need about 18. I might get 3 flukes. Such a natural delivery too, isn't it? I give their tutors at their respective clubs full marks on the way they've got these boys on the mat to deliver a bowl. It's just so effortless.
Uncomplicated, and I think that's important, Cedric. The more little idiosyncrasies we build into our individual deliveries, the more moving parts there are. So the simpler the delivery, the better. And that's what these boys have. It's smooth, it's fluent, but it's simple. Good correction from Hopwood. Left his bowl just half a metre short and still 1 down. It sounds silly to say that after bowling for only 4 years that Cameron Curtis has an edge in experience over Grant Hopwood. He has, of course, but the experience of 4 years bowls, this display is really amazing. We're going to see a bit of power applied from Grant Hopwood here. He recognises they're going to be difficult to outdraw, so he's attempting to dislodge them. Swung that across his body, and with 1 bowl left to repair this end, are we going to see another change in leadership? Curtis has left this well short. Now, is that deliberate? If it was, then it certainly hasn't covered the drive. Here we go again. A forcing shot, looking to remove both bowls. He's closer, but still underneath, and 2 more shots to Cameron Curtis. Sees him go to a 1-shot lead, 15-14.
In the 18th end, Curtis extended his lead to 16-4 with a jack-high drawing bowl.
Oh, equal to the task. Great pressure bowl from Curtis.
Curtis began the 19th as he finished the 18th with a great bowl. And though he tried, Hopwood could not wrest back shot. Curtis led 17-14. In the 20th, it was Curtis again, taking one bowl for end and edging closer to 21. Curtis 18, Hopwood 14.
What's good?
Very good start for a man who needs only 3 shots to take out this inaugural junior singles title. I think a little bit of tension. Grant Hopwood running through by 2 to 3 metres. Needs a close bowl here to make sure that Curtis, if he is to score on this end, scores less than the 3 shots that he needs. That's the second. Close bowl required from Hopwood. Too has to be a sign of nerves. Just when he didn't want a short bowl, that's what he's got. And it's still 2 to Cameron Curtis.
And there's the third. Cameron Curtis is lying game. Grant Hopwood trying to rescue the situation. Well, he's in the parish. He's in the parish. Oh! He'll have to draw with his last bowl in order to cut down this 3 that Curtis is currently lying. Junior Singles Championship is at the moment going to Mullumbimby. I don't think that's in the count, but nevertheless he is 3 years. The marker Paul Harper is signifying. So then, he's having an attempt at this. He's having a drive, trying to save the situation. He's got 1. Well, he's still 2. Is it 3? Third shot is a long way away. Over there at 9 o'clock, that is Curtis's third shot. But it is not as near as that bowl that Grant Hopwood is kicked of his own. It's only 2, but still. It's just 1 away for victory now for Cameron Curtis from Mullumbimby.
Now, every experienced singles player will tell you that when they're within 1 shot of victory, they want to clamp one right on the jack. Cameron Curtis has failed with his first. Grant Hopwood, in just the same way, has to get this bowl close enough that he can salvage the game and keep his hopes alive in this final of the Junior Singles Championship of Australia. A loose bowl. Obviously didn't want to be short, but he didn't want to be 3 metres through either. What sort of correction can we expect from Cameron Curtis? Slight overcorrection, but about 40 centimetres from the jack. Plenty of problems for young Grant Hopwood from Victoria. He's showing no signs of those nerves with this one. He's drawn the shot. Under pressure, a great bowl from Hopwood.
So Curtis coming up now with his third bowl. One down on the head. And that blue disc there at 11 o'clock.
He's not one down anymore.
No.
Oh, it ran a little. It's fallen back. I think you'll find that shot.
It is indeed. It fell the right way towards the jack. So a change of hand now by Hopwood. Coming down now on his backhand.
We've seen a lot of bowls short on this backhand coming into the breeze, Cedric. Let's hope this isn't one of them.
No
it
way.
Certainly isn't.
Jack high. Now then, each man has one bowl to go. Curtis is one down, but he requires one for the match, and therefore he's attempting now to either go for the jack or for that close bowl of Hopwood's. And he's missed everything, having hit a front bowl. And there is room now for Hopwood to score a second shot if his bowl can finish within 35 centimetres of the jack. He's lying one. Is that bowl at 5 o'clock that is Curtis is nearest, and Hopwood has got to draw closer to the jack than that, but it hasn't. Oh, well short. Possibly he was frightened, but nevertheless he gets off that 14 at last. He's been on it for 7 ends. He was leading 14-8. Seen Curtis go forward right up to 20. And now at last he's got one to put him on 15. So we start in number 23. With young Grant Hopwood having won the last end, having scored 15 shots. His opponent here, Cameron Curtis. 5 ahead on 20 and just requiring one for the match. Yes. Still just about a metre short. Nevertheless, these two boys, as we come now to the final stages of this match, I'm sure their mates at Mullumbimby High and Prahran Secondary College must be very proud of their classmates. Indeed they are. What about that one, Prahran? Great shot there just to out-bowl Mullumbimby High. Passing it. Is he passing it? He has. There it is. That's the shot. And now pressure on Grant Hopwood with 2 bowls to go.
Well, he'd stay down on that delivery.
Don't cut yet. Oh, it's just
narrow.
gone. Just a shade narrow, as you say, Jeff. Now then. What about a bowl just behind for safety?
Well, if he can actually trail on the forehand that jack in behind his current shot bowl, it would make him very secure. He's left it a little short, however.
Still, he's got...
There's only one down, Graham.
He's got game in his hands, and that's what he didn't want to hear. He's one down.
With a smile on his face when he said, yes, only one, but that only one is the one that Cameron Curtis requires. So this has to be a championship bowl. Unfortunately, too much weight, too wide, and it's all over.
So there it is. Victory going there. The man in yellow, Cameron Curtis from Mullumbimby, New South Wales, defeating his opponent from Melbourne, Hopwood, by 21 shots to 15.
Do you realise you're the first person ever to carry the title Australian Junior Champion?
Well, I do now, but I must admit it was a great thrill to win this first Australian Junior Singles, and it was even better for me after being down by so many, and Grant really had me on the ropes. Congratulations to him for playing so well, and I'd like to thank all the crowd for helping us along the way.
And the Junior Jack High Final continues next Sunday at the earlier time of 10 a.m, 9:30 in Adelaide. Next on SBS, Roger Clemson with Going Strong.
Issues 88, and this week we look at the complex moral and legal arguments over in vitro fertilisation and surrogacy.
A lot of knowledge, is not here. It actually can only be gotten by having more women as living laboratories.
If you want to have an IVF child, then you're going to have to give up a lot, and you're going to have to take a certain amount of risk.
We feel we know what we're doing, and we're prepared
it's our personal choice
to do that.
In vitro fertilisation, surrogacy and the law, on Tonight with Paul Murphy, Monday.
After oil, coffee is the world's most valuable commodity. Some 1,500 million cups are drunk around the world every day. In Commodities Tuesday night, an in-depth look at the history and future of coffee. The program focuses on Latin America, dominant in coffee production since the beginning of the 19th century, and responsible today for 2/3 of the world's coffee. The gold of the future, coffee. That's next on Commodities, 7:30 Tuesday on SBS.
The Hermitage is one of the world's major art museums, housing innumerable art treasures. To commemorate the Hermitage's current exhibition in Australia, SBS Marketing is pleased to present Western European Painting in the Hermitage, a book that vividly illustrates the tremendous contributions to world art in the Hermitage collections. For your copy, send $34.95 plus $3 postage to SBS Marketing, 4 Cliff Street, Milsons Point, or phone 964 2888.
This week on Showbiz, the man behind the Virgin Empire. The Australian production Capricornia with Justine Saunders. There's a mad tram ride with theatre works as they take a new play to the streets. There's a look at Neil Simon's latest play, Broadway Bound.
Oh, please, God, don't let me get it wrong.
And the music of James Taylor. Showbiz.
Your weight. Our latest one is the More or Less diet.
Yes.
Eat better for less. I've had lots of experience.
Now, on what do you base your rules of nutrition? How do you arrive at them?
Well, in the department we take a moderate approach to diet, and we believe that the foods that are out there in the supermarket can be used in the diet. The foods that are lower in nutritional value, and we're talking about your foods that are high in fat and sugar, that have got very salty foods, should be used in moderation, and the foods we are putting at present to improve the nutritional value of the overall national diet are your breads and cereals, and we've got wonderful breads and cereals, and fruit and vegetables. And if you're talking about prevention, a high fibre, low fat diet is important for coronary heart disease, but if you're looking at other diseases like cancer, there is a lot of emphasis today on fruit and vegetables in particular for decreasing the risk of some cancers.
Yes. Now, when we were talking before, you seem to be rather against fad diets. We won't mention them by name, but there are some very famous, well-known diets that you're really quite against. Why is that?
Well, it's really the advice that we give to help people. We're talking about reducing weight, slimming diets,
Yes.
aren't we? Well,
Yes.
I think it's
We all
all our
need
problems
to take a deep
sooner or later. And we should be looking at a diet that we can live with for the rest of our, well, for the next few years anyway. And so we don't want to be going on these extreme diets. We're on this diet 1 week, we lose some weight. It's not all fat we lose, a lot of it is fluid, is water. Then we can't cope with that diet, it's so extreme, and so we go back to our old eating habits. The idea is re-education to select a diet that you can fit in with the family food pattern. And when we talk about diet, we emphasise the 5 food groups, and it's just a quick checklist if I can go through it.
Please do.
It's we say you should have breads and cereals 4 servings a day, your fruit and vegetables 4 servings a day, some meat or a meat alternative, because for a variety of reasons a lot of people don't eat meat today, though it is healthy. Our Australian meat is lower in fat than meat in other countries of the world, and some dairy products, and then a little bit of butter or table margarine. That was our nutrition message for many, many years, and we found that because it was fairly open-ended, there was no restriction, that overconsumption has become our problem in Australia. And if you're looking at the major nutritional problem, you would have to say it's overweight,
overeating,
or obesity. And we've got some figures which I won't bore you with, but a lot of Australians are overweight, or are underweight. No, you've got me confused now. Are overweight and obese.
Yes.
And so we're now honing in on foods that have a high energy density, have a lot of kilojoules, or calories was the old term, and we're saying watch the high fat foods and the high sugar foods. We should be eating more dietary fibre, and of course the alcohol. That's it.
You also don't really like the idea of too many vitamin pills per se, do you? You think we get enough?
We had a discussion earlier about the vitamin and mineral tablets. We have a wonderful food supply in Australia, and it's not as hard as people think to get all our nutrients we need for health from our food supply. And if any national group, government group, has looked at the role of vitamin mineral supplements, the message has been healthy people don't need vitamin and mineral supplements. They should be getting their nutrients from their food. And I think what's important is that if we have got bad food habits, taking a few vitamin and mineral supplements is not going to make them better.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I wish we had more time, but if you'd like to get Ruth's booklet, then just send to Post Office Box 9848, Canberra 2601, and I'm sure she'll be very pleased if you take note of it. It's a jolly good book. I've had a look at it. And a good diet, exercise, and lots of fresh air. That's what my old mum used to say. And so does Mavis Gibbs. Mavis runs around her farm amid the lovely country air of rural New South Wales, and sometimes she runs as far as the Veterans Games in Melbourne. The nice thing about Mavis is that she competes for her own pleasure. The prizes don't matter to her very much at all. Here's how the viewers of CBN 8 in Orange learnt about her story.
Mavis Gibbs, veteran athlete, and her husband Ted live on a farm on the banks of the Castlereagh River near Merrygowan. No job, however large, is considered too difficult or too strenuous for their years. Their daily routine would tire the youngest and fittest Australian, but for Mavis, farm work simply isn't enough to keep the heart pumping and the pulse racing. Between harvesting the lucerne and irrigating the fields, she'll be training, following a vigorous schedule of cycling, running and lifting iron.
Keep going from the time I get up of a morning and to the time I go to bed, but then fit in running in between and lifting things in between, go for bike rides and getting the meals and everything like that. Helping my husband ship the pipes and everything. Sometimes you get the tea to cook and you think, oh well, you're running around thinking what you're going to put on for tea. Just think, oh well, just get going outside there and think, well, it won't take long. Just get to and do a bit.
Being from the country can be a disadvantage for the unimaginative athlete, with modern sporting facilities an hour's drive from home. But Mavis is not the sort of lady to be discouraged easily. She's built training stairs scaling the banks of the Castlereagh River and created her own innovative range of equipment from farmyard bits and pieces. You've got some unusual equipment here.
Rather. You wouldn't find that anywhere else, I'm sure. Pinch bar, flat irons, like a bootmaker use to mend shoes and things like this, anything heavy I can find. Or pick up a stone which might be the weight of a shot put. And while you're waiting on the mailman down the road, you putt it away till the mailman comes.
The only time Mavis sights authentic track and field equipment is at weekly training and gym sessions in Dubbo. The gym workout is dispensed with as easily as the backyard flat irons and pinch bar. From there it's on to the local athletics club. Mavis competes in the 100, 200, 400, 800 and 1500 metre events, as well as the high and long jumps, the javelin, shot put, discus and pentathlon. And she's not afraid to take on athletes many years her junior.
I feel very good, especially if I'm trying to catch someone and I can't. Well, I say, well, you go ahead, good luck to you. I congratulate them and feel, well, I've done my personal best. That's your PB. And if you don't win, well, you've gained something, you've gained your PB, and that's great sportsmanship.
Mavis Gibbs is one of those special Australians prepared to work hard to achieve a personal goal. It's the same spirit which settled the Castlereagh.
Get up and do it yourself and have a go. And you'd find out what enjoyment it is, really.
Let's now talk about the problem of heart attack, but from the point of view of the rest of the family. Our family counsellor, Terry Colling. Terry, our heart attack victim has just come back from hospital. How should we behave?
Well, basically as normally as possible. I think one of the great dangers that we have when someone has been seriously ill like that is we tend to treat them with kid gloves and wander around on eggshells.
So the young children can make as much noise as they like?
No. I think there must be an early recovery period when we consider their special needs.
But if something's annoying us, we say, for goodness sake, stop that. That really bugs me. We can still behave as normal.
Yes, I think so.
Yes?
To that extent, because we've got to remember that they must take their place back in the real world and not an artificial one. Their recovery will be advanced by the extent to which we're prepared to treat them as normal people.
What about if there's some very sad or bad family news? Someone's gone bankrupt, Aunt Maud has died. We spill the beans on that?
Yes, because as soon as information is available within the family, if the details are not shared with every member, everyone knows that something's going on, and we're likely to speculate on things being worse than they really are.
So we shouldn't be protective, really, in any sense?
No, I think we should be caring but not protective.
What about sexual relations? Can they be resumed?
Well, providing there's no clear medical indication that it's not a good idea, I think they should be. But what often happens after a serious illness is the partner feels reticent to ask for their needs to be met and is worried that the stress may create some serious problem for their partner.
Well, the heart attack victim, who in fact might be quite capable and competent still, might reject the whole idea too.
That's right. They may well feel that their fear, but also their body image, Often when we've experienced something quite serious like that, we start to question whether we are a valuable person and look okay and feel okay about ourselves. So that needs to be talked through, I think.
We seem to think that it's mainly men who are going to have this heart attack.
Well, that is certainly statistically true, but I think what we'll be seeing is an increasing number of women, as they take on the roles of men, being subject to the same stresses and consequently the same diseases of men.
If people do need help with coping with a heart attack victim once they've resumed their family life, where should they turn?
Well, mainly we're talking about lifestyle. For many people, a heart attack is about lifestyle, it's about stress, issues not coped with effectively, whether it's within the family or at work. Those need to be dealt with, and often you need the competence of an outsider, some counsellor or someone who can help you look objectively at your lifestyle.
Terry Colling, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Terry, for some good advice. I know he would also advise you to watch next week's programme because, among other things, we'll have the lovely sounds of a barbershop quartet. But right now, to take us out, some lovely sounds of a vastly different sort. Imagine yourself in Pakistan where the haunting sounds of a sitar float on the balmy winds. On the other hand, if you can't quite make it to Pakistan, then stay right where you are and allow us to bring the haunting sounds of the sitar to you through the artistry of a group of musicians from the Academy of Eastern Music in Sydney. And meantime, I look forward to your company next week, and until then, as they say in Pakistan, Salem Fair Melondak.
लाल मोरी पत रखियो मला झुलनानण हो लाल मोरी पत रखियो मला झुलनानण सिंधड़ी दा सेवण दा शाहबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर सखी शाहबाज कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर हो लाल मोरी पत रखियो मला झुलनानण हो लाल मोरी पत रखियो मला झुलनानण सिंधड़ी दा सेवण दा शाहबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर सखी शाहबाज कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर हो लाल मोरी हो लाल मोरी ऊंचा रोजा पीरा तेरा ऊंचा रोजा पीरा तेरा हेठ वगे दरिया मला झुलनानण हो हेठ वगे दरिया मला झुलनानण सिंधड़ी दा सेवण दा शाहबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर सखी शाहबाज कलंदर अली दम दम दे
Monday night, Architecture at the Crossroads, a series that explains the disenchantment with modern architecture and discusses the exciting changes taking place today. The program features interviews with the architects at the center of current debate and the work of younger architects who are beginning to make a name for themselves. Architecture at the Crossroads, Monday night at 10 on SBS. To the Australian Aborigine,
there it's been led by their president, Fred McGregor. There's Fred. They've invited me to lunch with them, as a matter of fact, but I'll probably be 5 o'clock before I get there. Bill Carey, their secretary. Nice fella.
They might hold a sausage roll for you or something, Keith.
No, as soon as the lunch is finished, they kick them out and close the pub. They only open it for the reunion.
For the lunch?
Lots of hoteliers make gestures like that on Anzac
Well, could
Day.
you make do with a cold sausage roll?
Something
right.
like that. Now I'm in the 2nd, 7th Battalion. What's the Italian doing in there?
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, he's a World War I Italian. Yes, that's an Italian. That's Mr. Camerotto. His Italian group.
My God, you have to speak to the Italians next to you, Keith.
We'll have to do something.
Out of order.
Well, I saw the 2nd, 5th Battalion there. That's wait till I see the banner.
Oh, look at this! Isn't that wonderful? I know to an army purist like yourself, Keith, you don't.
I don't approve of that at all, and nor does the battalion. That's the 2nd, 5th Battalion. It's just going past, led by Jack Nolan, their president. 2nd, 6th Battalion. Oh dear, there's Sir David.
I don't know how you remember all
Sir
the
David Hay.
Sir David Hay, right.
Yes, he's just come back to live in Melbourne. He was the intelligence officer in that battalion in the Middle East. 2nd, 7th Infantry Battalion, the old mud over bloods, and did Henry Gwynn get down from Queensland? Yes, there's Henry Gwynn.
His head just popping over the top of the
Jack
banner.
Wiles.
Oh,
there they are leading. That's the president, and Henry, who was their he was their 2nd last commanding officer. Colonel Parbury, their last commanding officer. Regretfully, we saw him last October, but he died a few weeks ago. Oh, look at them, all friends of mine. And Jack Quinn is another one who's got black.
Oh, these are apparently from the Dutch crew, which we saw on screen earlier.
That's Alan Day from the 18th, the president of the Netherlands East Indies squadron, which is a squadron of Dutch people who were in Indonesia, airmen in Indonesia, came a squadron of the RAAF.
92nd 4th Infantry
Yes,
Battalion.
this is the 19th Brigade, and 2nd 4th is a Sydney unit, and they haven't told me who's leading them today. There's the St Joseph's Technical School Band, which always, we know 2nd 8th Battalion's coming because the St Joseph's always leads the 2nd 8th.
With Stan McIntosh.
And that's Claude Simpson, their president, is leading them, yes. And they want to send a cheerio to Roy Scatrini out there at Heidelberg. Keep your pecker up, Roy. St Joseph's School is closing, so that's probably the last time we'll see that band. We should thank those boys and the school for what they've done for the Anzac March over the years.
You don't know where they're going?
The school's closing, not enough students.
Oh, is that right? You've got a big band.
I just saw the notice in front. 2nd 11th Battalion, West Australian Battalion, that'll be led there down the front. Lieutenant Colonel Bill Egan, well known in the Australian Post Office, but long since retired. Yes, it's got a few members in Victoria, but very, very powerful in Perth. And most of the battalion became prisoners in Crete. They, what were left, reformed the battalion. They then served in Darwin and in Itapi and Wewak in New Guinea. The 2nd, 3rd Machine Gun Battalion, it came to 60th rather late in the war, led by General Roy Gordon, I noticed. Roy hasn't been too well, neither has his wife now. The 2nd, 3rd, of course, have just published their book. I think it's called From Snow to Jungle. And they fought in Syria, came back. On their way home, they turned left. Most of the battalion became prisoners in Java. And the rest came back to Australia. They reformed the battalion and went up to New Guinea and Borneo. They fought at Tarakan. 60th Army Service Corps, led today by Bill Perry, the commanding officer. They went overseas very early in January 1940 and served in Syria, Darwin, Itapi, most of the places 60th served. In fact, some of them got quite substantial decorations in Greece. Second Field Ambulance Association. Oh, there's Spick Spiker leading them this year. Last year, of course, they were led by Colonel Dick Smybert and Colonel Bill Lempriere, who both unfortunately have died since last Anzac Day.
Second first casualty clearing station just going through with Dick Smybert and Bill Lempriere.
No, they died last year.
Well, there you are. They've got information that's a little incorrect.
That's a reminder for me.
Oh, right.
And now here's the Tramways Band leading the 7th Australian Division. Well, the Preston Municipal Band, I beg your pardon. Preston Municipal Band is going off to Edinburgh this year for the festival, playing in the festival.
Who was that in the Jeep there? Just went by.
That was Brigadier Sir William Hall.
Right.
And
second, fourth.
Look at him. Yes, he was a great artilleryman. He got his DSO for climbing up a great big tree in Buna, and when no one could see the enemy because of the jungle and the flat country, and they put an OP up in a hill, and Major Hall, as he was then, got up the tree and ranged in his couple of guns and did considerable damage to the Japanese, for which he was suitably rewarded.
Okay, 2nd, 5th now.
2nd 5th Field Regiment, a New South Wales regiment. Bill served in that too, Bill Hall that is. They fought in the desert, and Syria, but more particularly they did a great job along the north coast of New Guinea, in Milne Bay, Buna, Gona, in most difficult circumstances. It's very hard to deploy guns in swamps. That's what they had. And then subsequently, of course, they fought at Leh and in the Nadzab area, and went up to the Markham and Ramu valleys, and finally finished the war by fighting at Balikpapan.
That's one way of seeing the marchers up on Dad's shoulders, and some of the crowd now assembled here on the lawns of the Shrine of Remembrance on St Kilda Road in Melbourne. Get a bit of smoke there, but us to have the hot dog stand over there working already.
They're the army cookers, from the Australian Army, let their old coppers, you know.
Yes.
Fowler.
Now this is coming into view now is the Melbourne Transit Band, and they're leading the Royal Australian Engineers 7th Division.
And Alan Benson, the secretary, is leading them. He's been the secretary for years, and I was instructed by the headquarters of that unit in Sydney. They rang me and said Benson's to lead the unit.
Well, there you are. Orders from on high.
Yes. Oh well, he always put some officer in, and they wanted him to lead it. 2nd 4th Field Squadron started with the Armoured Division. That's why it's called a squadron, not a company. But when the Armoured Division was disbanded, they were attached to 7th Division. As you can see, they built the Bulldog track up to Wow, and then went to Morotai and Balikpapan.
That was the Signal
Bill
7th
Carlisle's
Division.
their leader. He's a well-known sapper.
Yes, the Signal 7th Australian Division. You see where they served there. And just behind them we have the 18 Brigade, the 2nd 9th, 2nd 10th and 2nd 12th Battalions.
Yeah, this is, most people think that the Rats of Tobruk were all 9 Div, but the 18th Brigade was in 9th Div, was in Tobruk with the 9th Division, and because they were absent from Syria, the 2nd Battalion, the 2nd 5th Battalion of 6th Div and the 2nd Pioneers had to go to Syria to make up the 3rd Brigade. But after coming out of Tobruk, 18th Brigade rejoined 7th Div. This brigade fought at Milne Bay, did an excellent job there, and then came up and joined in the capture of Buna, eventually went on to the Markham Valley, the Ramu Valley at Leh, and then up to Balikpapan.
Recognise any faces there, Keith?
Well, they're not Victorians. The 9th's a Queensland Battalion, the 10th is a South Australian Battalion, and the 12th's a Tasmanian Battalion.
Well, we've got the 16th now. 2nd 16th.
Is slightly out of place. The 2nd 14th Battalion and the 2nd 16th. We've missed the 2nd 14th, which is one of our Victorian Battalion, very well known indeed.
So I've got the 2nd 27th
led
now.
by Maury Tafe today, and the 2nd 16th is the West Australian Battalion, and the 2nd 27th the South Australian Battalion. Now they, after fighting in Syria, came back and went up the Kokoda Trail, relieved the 39th Battalion, and it was they who brought the Japanese advance over the Kokoda Trail to a halt.
Now this is the Melbourne High School Band, which you can hear in the background as they pass our vantage point here.
Leading the 2nd 1st Machine Gun Company, which 2nd 1st Machine Gun Battalion, which
Captain Ian Manson.
Ian Manson and Ted Atkins, you can see they're leading it. They started with 6th Division and fought in Greece, and part of the battalion fought in Greece and Crete, where they were involved in the defence of Malimi and Rethymnon airfields. They were all taken prisoner. They later on went with 7th Division, as did 2nd Pioneer Battalion. 2nd Pioneer was fought with the 7th Division in Syria. Coming home from the Middle East, they called it Java, and they were nearly all taken prisoners of the Japanese. Those that came home, the battalion was reformed and continued to fight on, and was eventually fought in Tarakan with 9 dead. There's my friend Sam here. 7th AC led by Sid Taylor, who's the president of the association. That looks like the Melton Community Band to me, because I know their uniform provides for Kubra hats, but the Kubras are $80 each, and that band needs hats. So if you've got some money for a Kubra hat and you want to put it to good use, present it to the Melton Community Band. They do a great job with the youngsters out at Melton.
There's a quiet puff after an exhausting walk. Now this is the field ambulance now, the 2nd 5th Field Ambulance.
Yes, well, they served in Egypt, Syria, Buna, Lae, and eventually Balikpapan. One of their members, Stan Stevens, was out at Heidelberg Hospital. Keep your pecker up, Stan, the boys are thinking of you.
This is the Kew Citizens Band with Douglas Trotman and Michael Mathers. And
now,
on the
Kew
road to
Citizens
Gundagai.
Band has the honour of being the best brass band in Australia. At the Easter competitions in Sydney, they came 2nd. The winning band was a New Zealand band. They're leading 8th Division, and the man on screen is someone known to us all. Colonel Sir Edward Dunlop.
Weary Dunlop.
Weary Dunlop.
Yes.
Look at him, what a magnificent man. We love you, Weary. Weary, of course, was not 8th Division, but he looked after them so well in the prisoner of war camps and on the Burma Railway that they specifically asked me if I would ask Sir Edward to lead them in this march, which he has done, and I might say at some cost. He sadly lost his wife last Thursday.
Oh.
4th Anti-Tank Regiment. These are the boys who bested the Italian tanks, the Japanese tanks. First of all at Gamas, when they were with the 2nd 30th Battalion, and then on the Miwa Road at Bakri, when they were with the 2nd 29th, where they destroyed 8 Japanese tanks with their little 2-pounders, which they'd only been issued with just as the war in Malaya started.
He's getting his beard and moustache all ready for the cameras. He didn't do his eyebrows though. They all stand to attention as the marchers come to a halt.
They don't...
look at this. What would they be talking about? Not the weather, certainly.
Only knows they... Well, there's a... Oh, look at them all. I must slip over there afterwards and see Captain Lees. Captain Lees is in charge of this Salvation Army operation. He's in charge of their disasters section that helps when we have bushfires and other kind of disaster. But today he's helping us, and this is no disaster. 2nd 10th Field Company was heavily engaged as infantry defending Singapore when the 8th Division had to withdraw to the island. All became prisoners, and Paddy O'Donnell was the commander of this company. Everyone loved Paddy. He was the engineer who built the Punt Road Bridge. And subsequently became chairman of the then Country Roads Board.
Come on the Bombers, this is the City of Essendon Band with Ron Booth, their bandmaster. Is this the 2nd 21st?
2nd 21st Battalion.
Is it Wally Hicks behind there?
From Gull Force. The 2nd 21st Battalion of Gull Force tried to defend Ambon against an overwhelming force of Japanese, but were soundly beaten and taken prisoners. 2nd 22nd Battalion defending Rabaul as part of Lark Force. And there's Bill Harry, well-known man in the RSL circles. And Timor, that was the 2nd 40th Battalion, that was Sparrow Force, and again overwhelmed by, they're led by George Gunn, that tall fellow in the front. He was an officer in the 1st Heavy Battery.
Now to the 2nd 29th Infantry Battalion, who we got there?
Well, that was our biggest battalion in Victorian battalion in the 8th Division, and they're led by Bob Christie this year. Bob's been their secretary for many years. Bob's a leading legatee, and he organises the Legacy Children's thing, which was held here at the Shrine last Friday.
And following the 8th Division, we have the 4 Reserve MT Company.
Well, that's part of the 8th Division. They supplied the 8th Division with their food and ammunition during their long retreat down the Malay Peninsula. So they're part of the Army Service Corps. This is 8th Div ASC and the original petrol company, they call it.
This is the 2nd 9th Australian Field Ambulance.
First of all, we have the Ordnance, who is slightly out of place.
Oh,
now on screen we've got the 2nd 9th Field Ambulance. They, of course, looked after the casualties in the Malayan campaign and were withdrawn to Singapore Island, where they got on the, like the 13th AGH now coming on screen, the other part of the medical of 8th Division. They were all captured on Singapore Island. The 2nd 9th Field Ambulance was usually parades the banner of the First World War Field Ambulance. They got laid up in a church in Melbourne and they get it out on Anzac Day. But apparently they've ceased the practice, so you can't see it on screen today. Here comes the band of the 4th 19th Prince of Wales's Light Horse, leading their own regiment, the 4th 19th, which is escorting its 3 Guidons, the Guidons of the 4th Light Horse, the 17th Light Horse, which are the Prince of Wales's, and the 19th Light Horse. You can see the Guidons there with all the battle honours won by those 3 light horse units. 4th 19th's an Army Reserve unit based at North Fitzroy and North Carlton. Very efficient group. You'll see they're all wearing summer dress, because that's the only uniform dress they've got. Anyone who wants to be an armoured mechanised cavalryman, that's the unit to join. 4th 19th Prince of Wales's Light Horse, George Street, Fitzroy.
Now as the sun comes out again, we can see once again towards St Kilda Road, and we have the old veterans there, the old diggers.
There's Reg Kirk and Jack Spencer from the 2nd Field Regiment, sitting over there. Oh, look at that sign, hop in. We used to love to see that. We used to see it in the most unusual places during the 2nd World War, and indeed in Vietnam. Hop in. You're welcome. The Salvos have got their screen out, and they're going to do a great job, and are doing a great job serving us with coffee. I might say the Anzac Fellowship of Women, who've been serving us with coffee after the dawn service for 53 years, have served us for the last time today. They just can't carry on. And we will ask the Salvos to take that little task aboard too.
Now we're up closer towards the actual shrine, and you can see some of the units now marching off, and before preparing for the service which will follow the march.
I might say, John, that I would expect the Salvation Army to serve 16,000 cups of tea or coffee today. That's a lot to dispense in 3 hours with all your television cables.
That must be just above our broadcast point here as we look down once again towards St Kilda Road. We can see one of our hard-working camera operators down there. I reckon they run about 20 kilometres every Anzac march, running backwards and forward, trailing cables, getting you the shots on screen.
That's the Melbourne University Regiment and the Monash University Regiment parading their colours.
As they march up towards the Shrine of Remembrance. Ah, look at that, inspecting the medals.
So that's a 39-45 style that young lady's holding.
Yes.
And that fella served in Greece, because I can see the Greek government medal.
It's nice to see the young people talking to those who've come back and talking about their medals and the things they did. Telling a tale perhaps of in the trenches or on a tank or on a ship.
Oh, they're probably talking about the football and how Collingwood got to the top of the ladder briefly.
Keith Rossi, you are incorrigible. That's a big word for you.
Have you ever noticed that all the headquarters of the Corps and Division, have you ever noticed the colour of their patch?
It's not black and white, is it? Oh.
Of course.
There, the kids have all got their flags out. Big Australian flags, complete with Union Jack. Wonderful. Who have we got coming up here now? This is the Army Reserve Drum Corps Band, could this be? No, this might be the Victorian Police. Yes, it is. It is the Victorian Police Military Band.
Victorian Police, the military band, leading the 3rd Division. And, gosh, there's Colonel Bill Fry. Or should I say Colonel Sir William Fry, a former President of the Upper House. He served with the Armoured Division and then subsequently with 47th Battalion and then in New Guinea and Bougainville. Now he's leading 3rd Division, which contains that battalion. It's the headquarters of the unit. 2nd 4th Armoured Regiment. That was another unit of the Australia's 1st Armoured Division, which was formed in 1941 in the expectation of fighting in the Western Desert, but in 1944 I think was disbanded, but before doing so it did quite a bit of fighting in New Guinea and Bougainville. There's the 2nd Field Regiment, AIF, one of the artillery units of the 3rd Division. It's led by Captain Len Quiche, and it was continuously in action in Bougainville for 275 days, which is something of a record. Followed by 4th Field Regiment, led today by Captain Clifty Young, and I can see Fred Cullen there on the right.
Is Major Colin McLean there?
Major Colin McLean, regrettably, I was at his funeral last week.
Oh dear. Now we have coming up, just coming on screen now, I think, in the background there, the 101st Heavy Mortar Battery.
Oh, the 106 tank
attack. Oh, the 106.
Yes, well, you can see where they served. No great role for some tank attack regiments in the Pacific. The Japanese did have some tanks, but not in great numbers. The 101st Australian Heavy Mortar, they had 4.2-inch mortars, an excellent weapon in the jungle because of they point up at a steep angle and come down at a steep angle, which enables you to get over the jungle trees. George Hartley was leading the tank attack regiment. I can't recognise who's leading the mortar regiment.
Now this is the 4th Division company.
4th Field Company.
Sorry, 4th Field Company,
Engineers.
yes.
Yes. You can see where they fought, mostly in Newbury. The engineers were always busy in every theatre of war, but particularly in the jungles of the Southwest Pacific. 15th Field Company. So as you can see, they served in New Guinea and Bougainville. Now, of course, Ken Green used to lead his beloved 15th Field Company, Major General Ken Green, and he's another of our leaders who's passed on. Died suddenly, very unfortunate.
Now to the 53rd.
Yes, well, the field park companies, they look after the field squadrons. They store and repair the heavy plant, bulldozers, and that style of thing that the field companies use in their day-to-day work. It's a big store and workshop.
This is the 10th Field, a little out of order there.
You won't worry about it.
Oh, no. It's their day. Now we have the Signals 3rd Division.
It's the 366 Club.
Is this Colonel Len Farger, OBE?
Len Farger, yes. They call themselves the 366 Club. I think that's what they used to paint on their luggage. We all had a code. Signals 3rd Division. And they served all over New Guinea and Bougainville, wherever 3rd Division served, just providing communications. And one of the key, or perhaps the busiest part of it, was the 15th Brigade Signal Section, which is following. Has now left the camera. They're led by Harry Johnson. 24th Battalion, Jeff Bolton's leading them. They served in New Guinea and Bougainville. A very well-known battalion in both World Wars. See their distinctive blood bandages, colour patch, the diamond, white over red. And I suppose the biggest, numerically the strongest marching unit here today.
This is the Victorian Police Pipe Band, under the baton of Nat Russell and Kevin Quinn.
Nat Russell is the music director and pipe major, and Kevin Quinn's the drum major.
It's a rather big baton too, isn't it?
Yes, the police provided a piper to play the lament at this morning's Dawn Stand too, which was very good of them.
Perhaps they might be talking about the Four Corners program, the episode coming on at 9 o'clock tonight, which looks at the 1915 Gallipoli campaign and apparently debunks one or two, I suppose, theories about the campaign. It's called The Fatal Shore. It's on Four Corners tonight for 1.5 hours. Their contribution to the 1988 bicentennial. Chris Masters has this report. He actually goes over to Gallipoli and reenacts some of the battle scenes. He takes with him a Turkish-speaking producer, Harvey Broadbent, and The Fatal Shore is a moving, informative and personalised documentary. It's like Four Corners at 9 o'clock on ABC. But who have we got now? The 56th?
We've got the 57th 60th Battalion, I would think, because I can see some people I know in it. Jeff Phillips and Harold White leading the battalion. That's the amalgam of two famous battalions, the 57th and the 60th. As part of 15 Brigade, they fought for a long, long time alongside the 17th Brigade of the 6th Division, going from Wau down to Salamoa. They were in action for many, many months and were knocked about rather sorely. They were pulled out and arrested and then sent off to Bougainville. And the 58th, 59th into Salamoa, the Finisterres, they went with 7 Div into the Finisterres, as you can see there, and went to the Finisterres and Bogajim before having a bit of a rest and then being sent off to Bougainville with the rest of the brigade.
This is the 42nd Infantry Battalion Association.
Yes.
And they're being led by Lieutenant Don Lindsay.
Yes, well, that's part of 29th Brigade, and the 3 battalions of 29th Brigade are all Queensland battalions, the 15th, 47th and 42nd, and we hope they're all represented here today. There's Don Lindsay in the Jeep. He was a platoon commander in the 42nd Battalion, and he's got bad legs and can't march, but the 42nd Battalion have set the lead, and they're trying to encourage 15th and 47th Battalion men who happen to be in Victoria to come along and march with them. And then we'll have a 29th Infantry Brigade banner instead of a 42nd Battalion one.
Now just moving on to the approach to the forecourt, we have now this be part of the 3rd Division, or this might very well be
like the
Salvation Army band. Yes, we have a band out of order there, so perhaps we'll just have a look down this a little further just to see.
Don't know how that happened.
Oh, it seems as though we've just got a band out of order. Look at that lovely shot.
Well, I was very unfortunate this year. 2 bands which were going to play, each were going to play twice. They dropped out, so we were deficient 4 bands at the last moment, and no doubt the band marshal, Colonel Pearson, is having to make some adjustments to equitably distribute what's
right. So we have the 3rd Division now, Keith.
Oh yes, there's the 3rd Division Army Service Corps, and that, of course, they served wherever 3rd Division did, supplying them with food and carrying the ammunition up for them. A very onerous job, particularly in New Guinea, where some of it they had to load aircraft and go in the aircraft and kick the stuff out, the so-called biscuit bombers. This is the Melbourne City Temple Band. March for us each year.
Yes. They don't only serve cups of coffee or cups of tea, do they? They play the music as
well. You think they knock off playing to serve cups of tea and coffee? Do you think they'll be well received by Captain Lees if they go around there for a cuppa?
I'm sure they'll give them something. Wet their whistle. A lot of spit and polish goes into that.
We give bandsmen fruit juice. There's a big fruit juice dump up there that some of my marshals feed them. Give them fruit juice if they wish.
Well, there they are, having a chat over a fruit juice or maybe a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Sensibly wearing a hat. Having a little trouble with our pictures there.
Yes.
Now we have the 15th Field Ambulance now. Have we got Mr. John Petty? Would he be in the Jeep there?
Yeah, John. No, John's not in the Jeep, but yes, he is. Harvey West isn't in the Jeep, but John Petty, he had 2 or 3 sickies. Harvey, their secretary, got on to me and asked me if I could provide a Jeep. I think he had 3 who couldn't march. There's those 3 gentlemen there in the Jeep. And one of them's John Petty, who's the one in the front seat. The 15th Field Ambulance served down at, well, as you can read on the screen, Wow, Salamoa, and then went with the brigade up the Ramu Valley with 7 Div.
And this is the 126th Brigade Workshop and Field Park?
Yes, they served throughout with 6 Div, and Paul Smith's leading 126. And I hope behind them was 127. They're fairly close association between these 2 workshops. You can see they were in New Guinea and then went across to Bougainville. And 7th, if that's 7th Battalion, they're where they ought to be. Yes, that's 7th Battalion. I recognise the secretary. I won't embarrass him by mentioning his name. They were in the wrong place last year too.
Well, don't send them a Christmas card this year, Keith.
Something like that. Oh, we're all good friends.
Yes, I know. Now, who have we got here carrying a looks like a South, I should say a Swans flag there.
That's the 8th Battalion.
Right. So
see, they should be in with 5th Division, and see the top of the thing. They see the label, 8th Battalion AIF. Bloods and Bloods. That's the Ballarat Battalion, militia battalion, called up in the war just as the the 7th Battalion was from Mildura.
It's a lovely shot of the city of Melbourne. It's captured by the ABC cameras.
Yeah.
And there's a wee Scotty having a chat to...
From the St Andrews ladies.
Yes.
Yes, the 7th Battalion have a special thing in Mildura, their home city today, and Colonel John Wilmoth, who normally leads 7th Battalion on this parade, is in Mildura leading the battalion up there.
Yes, we've got that lovely shot of Melbourne once again. Still the Rialto building there on the left of screen, and the Art Centre spire just on the right background.
Good, thank you.
There we are, as we move to a position looking straight up Swanston Street with St Paul's there, and the Nauru House and a number of the other buildings on the eastern side of the city. I think I can see St Patrick's Cathedral there too on the right-hand side in the background. Lovely shot. You get over that green grass though, the country being so dry around, but it certainly looks a picture here on the forecourt. With the flags fluttering in the rather strong
here's the 5th and 11th Division, behind which the 7th and 8th Battalion should have been. And that division is led by Colonel Cusworth. Tim Cusworth. More and more of them need to be carried in vehicles, John.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, what band do we have here? It looks like another...
Should be Box Hill City.
If it is, we're back on order. Yes, it is indeed. Okay. So it's the Box Hill City Band.
Marching twice.
Yeah, led by John Woods and John Kelly. They do a wonderful... Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. 2nd 8th Armoured Regiment, Captain Lou Jackson leading them. That's another of the units of the Armoured Division that was raised in 1941 and served in New Guinea in 1943 and 44 and was ultimately disbanded, and all the men were sent to create small ships units, a particular requirement of the Island War in the Pacific, driving landing craft and things of that nature. Grew out of the old 8th Light Horse. Oh, the Box Hill City Band's out in strength.
There's another nice shot from our cameraman. It's
shot of the shrine.
Forward to the shrine there. Some of the
mobile camera.
Yes. Now we've got the 1432nd Infantry Battalion.
We've just been advised that this march is being recorded on cassette, and the cassettes will be available from the ABC, presumably in the ABC shop.
Certainly.
At the bank building in Elizabeth Street.
That's right. On the Galleria there.
Yes. I'm sure at very reasonable prices.
Yes, well, they won't be available for a couple of days, I'm sure, but we'll let you know on our ABC radio programs on 3LA exactly when it does become available. Now we have another band.
City of Moorabbin Brass.
It is the City of Moorabbin Brass Band.
With the Ron McCormick with the baton or the staff, and Wade Bowden is the bandmaster.
And they're leading the 1432nd Infantry Battalion.
No,
they're not. It's the 2946th. So there you are. You see. Trap for young players.
With the well-known 29th Battalion colour patch, the black and gold. Viv Lovejoy, who was their second in command in New Guinea and New Britain. Great, that battalion did a good job. 46th Battalion came from Brighton and the 29th from Paran. They were amalgamated. Incidentally, a member of that battalion, Frank Cole, is out at RGH Heidelberg. Best wishes to you, Frank. We hope you get well soon.
There's his own camera unit. Well, they are battling with that banner. Very strong wind.
Yes, well, the 37th 52nd gain, they've got the 37th Battalion colour patch there. Caulfield was the 37th and the 52nd was from Dandenong. They were amalgamated, and like the others, you can see that rather than going to Bougainville, that particular battalion was sent to New Britain as Jacquinot Bay and fought in recovering the territory lost by the 2nd 22nd Battalion when it was overrun by the Japanese early in 1942.
Of the 4th Field Ambulance.
Well, that was the ambulance that served the 4th Brigade, of which the 29th, 46th and the 32nd, 52nd were a part.
Now to the 22nd Australian Infantry Battalion, led by Mr. Lloyd Derrick.
Yes. Now the 22nd's in the wrong spot, isn't it? Yes. Yes, Lloyd is the president of their association, and they served in New Guinea, and sadly that battalion was taken off the order of battle, as they say, in practical terms. It was disbanded several years ago, and today at the shrine, after the service is completed, the colours of this well-known battalion will be laid up in the shrine. And we hope all the men of the various 22nd battalions, First World War, Second World War, stay to watch their ceremony as well as members of the public.
We just had the 38th Infantry Battalion go through with Bob Llewellyn. Now,
well, 38's very, very much a Bendigo battalion, and it was disbanded before the end of the war, much to the chagrin of the people in it.
Captain Tom Arnold is leading this year's 2nd Field Ambulance.
Yeah.
It's coming on screen now.
Yes, he was in the militia. There he is there before the Second World War, and he eventually became a captain and quartermaster of the unit. But they looked after 2nd Brigade, which was that 7th and 8th Battalion that we saw going through shortly a little while ago.
Well, this is the 6th Field Ambulance, AIF, serving in New Guinea and New Britain.
The medicos had a terrible job in the islands, not only treating wounds which, when the conditions became gangrenous, but malaria and every scratch seemed to become infected. The medical boys in the field ambulance were very, very busy indeed, working long hours, trying to keep the soldiers fit to fight.
Just relaxing there after doing a bit of puffing and blowing. See all those leaves lying on the ground there? I think that's a part of the charm of autumn, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Lovely. Yes, there's one of the pipe bands having a well-deserved rest. They're probably marched or even 3 times.
Hey.
Looking down towards Swanson Street once again. Well, we've had these boys through before.
No, that's the Royal Australian Artillery 3rd Division Band, substituting for Croydon Citizens Band, leading the 1st Army New Guinea Force and 2 Corps troops. Now they are led by Brigadier Bell, ATJ Bell, known as Ding, and I'm very disappointed that Brigadier Bell has removed his beard because he looks distinguished at the best of times. His son has a 28-foot ketch which he put in the small ships thing, and Brigadier Bell went over to Fremantle and navigated it to Tassie, and of course to look the part he grew a beard, which was very effective.
Yes.
The RAA 3D band doing a great job there.